everyone. I am so excited to have it with me today, JL, and she is the author of the book, A Different Kind of Follower. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yes, I'm happy to be here. A Different Kind of Follower was written about 2 years ago. I found myself severely struggling spiritually with the enemy of my soul. Um, every day and every night, I just was in a pit. And I joined this group called Two-Way Prayer. And it's basically a process of writing your prayers and sharing it with a few other members in a group. And we would meet daily. And I started noticing, even in my most darkest times of my life, God was always right there. I could feel him, I could see him, and I could hear him in the prayers I was writing in these groups. And also, I started noticing that my writing was very powerful and impactful by the reactions I was getting from the other members in this group. And after attending meetings for about a year, I have written over 1,000 poems in the form of a conversation with God. And my relationship with him and his son Jesus has grown so strong that our spirits are in constant fellowship today. For me, this writing was a cherry on top of our beautifully master-crafted relationship that was already in process. My poetry pours out my love for him and his enduring love for me. And that's how I wrote this book.
I love that, and I love that you're sharing that with other people. What was the
hmm
inspiration for writing it?
well, my inspiration comes from, like about the author on the back of the book. I wrote, my pain and God, right? And for me, that combination is I found him in that and his love and my dark soul that I felt. I don't have like a dark, but those dark parts of me, right? And I found his love, and for me, life is like a constant poem, and it's how me and God communicate and interpret life. And I use this style of writing to cope with life and to understand how life is for me. And God is at the center of all my writing. I have always been a writer or found journaling down my thoughts, and really found a great connection with my father through this writing. And then let's see. So, like for example, in these last 2 years, I wrote a poem. It's the referee poem, and this is like my inspiration. Like I'll be at a soccer game, watching a soccer game, and I will start to see how God works in my life, like similar to how a soccer game is playing. Like the referee and the players. And so yeah, I creatively write how I see life and how God shows me how life works. Yeah.
That's so wonderful and beautiful. And I love that that's something that you use as a way to cope with all of the things that life throws at us.
hmm
Is there anything else you want to tell us about yourself or your book or the message behind your book?
Oh, yeah. I jotted down, I've had so many things I'd love to share with everybody about my personal journey just to help them, just to be a light in their dark story, right? I share this, you know, to let people know and remind me that even though I fall on my face day after day, God's always there and his son Jesus to help get me up and keep moving forward. I've never been given up by God. Many people have given up on me on this earth, but God has always been there, and I always like I grew up like really liking Hunter S. Thompson, and he said, and this quote always sticks with me, buy the ticket, take the ride. And that is how I feel with this journey I have with Father and his son. After the manuscript got accepted with Christian Faith Publishing, I became more under attack by the enemies of this dark realm. I held on by my fingertips from January 2024 to when the book was printed, January 2025. But I bought the ticket, right? And I stayed on the ride with God. And it was one bumpy ride. And every day presented new obstacles, new challenges, and an ability, though, to dig deeper with Father and Jesus in our relationship. And I'm coming out the other side screaming, yelling, and hollering with joy that God's love never, ever gives up. So, yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
wow. That gave me goosebumps. That's so wonderful. I love that. And I think that I think this book could really help other people just coping and realizing that they're not alone. And
Yeah, yeah, yep. And me too, right? I need that daily reminder.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, for anyone who's interested in picking up a copy of this book, it's by J.L. titled A Different Kind of Follower. And you can pick it up on barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, and Apple Books, to name a few. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, yes, thank you, Heather.